Louisville, national champions, 1980.
Cardinals have won the national championship. 75th NCAA college basketball champions.
All right. Welcome everybody to a special edition of the Third Banner Pod. I'm your host, Ash. We've got Ty, Kyle, and the return of Josh tonight. He's not been able to join us for a while, so welcome back, Josh.
Welcome back, Josh. Welcome back.
How's it going, fellas?
All right. Hey. We had to do a special edition. There's been so much football stuff going on this weekend that we had to do a special edition because our normal Wednesday episode is going to be the night before the basketball game against Kentucky. Ooh. So had to interrupt that and bring us some football news.
So Couch House just said we got Chaney from Miami, the running back out of Miami, just literally committed. So awesome. I think he's going to be a great replacement for Isaac Garindo. Very powerful back. So long as he stays healthy, I'm expecting big things out of him. Oh, how's everybody doing? Good grief. Look at all these people already. Wow.
Doing all good, man. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Hey, thank you all for coming on, man. Wow. Impressive. Ty's on here. What's going on, Ty? Rivals Ty? All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Before we get into everything, how's everybody doing tonight on this lovely Saturday night?
We're doing good. The vibes are great. Football is awesome. Jeff Brom, the Portal King, has returned for his crown.
Absolutely.
He's kicking ass.
We will talk about basketball after we talk about football. We're going to get football its rightful due right now. Football's killing it. We will talk about basketball. I know that's why some people probably want to jump on. We'll get to that. But let's talk about football. But before I get in that, Josh, it's been a while since you've been on, man. What do you think?
Dude, it's just crazy, right? Like basketball, it is what it is. But like Jeff Brom's carrying the torch, man. Like he's given us plenty to be excited about. Not just now. I mean, we're in a bowl game. I think a lot of us weren't sure if we would be in, or like maybe one of our best case scenarios preseason. And then you top that off with, the recruiting we have right now. Like, I don't know how you wouldn't be excited about Louisville football, man. It's just
gotta be
wild.
Man. So just a quick recap as far as I'm concerned this weekend, and people in the chat, if I'm missing somebody, let me know, because as I'm saying this sentence, we're probably going to get another one. So that's how it's going right now. But we got Jordan Garrod. He's a defensive lineman out of FIU. This is a guy that we really didn't even know we were going to be in on. And then we were told, hey, we're going to get a commitment from somebody out of left field. You're not going to guess who it is. Well, we did have somebody who was like, I bet I can get the information. And they, sure enough, I'm not going to say who that was, but that person ended up getting it. And they ended up being right. So we got him out of FIU. From my understanding, Aeneas Peebles, and if I'm saying his name wrong, I'm sorry, but there's only one other way I can see to say it, and I'm not going to say it. So I think it's Aeneas. So Aeneas Peebles out of Duke, he's still on the list as a defensive lineman that we're in on. He visited earlier this week. He's a guy I would love to have, but I'm starting to look at how many people we have on the defensive line. You're starting to hear Jermaine Lole's coming back. You're not hearing about anybody that's really leaving, so you got to wonder if he would still come now that we just got another defensive lineman, but apparently he may. So we'll keep tracking him. We just got the kid out of Miami, Donald Chaney Jr., who he's explosive, powerful back. He doesn't play around. When he's out there, he's knocking heads off. He doesn't, he's the kind of guy you would expect a Miami football team to have when you look at some of the guys they've had at the running back position in the past. We got Pete Nigra out of Northern Illinois, the center. He committed. He just committed within the last 20 minutes is my understanding.
As we were getting ready for the show.
So I was looking at his PFF stats, which I know don't tell the whole story. And I was looking at some film. He's a guy I think will fill in really well at the center position. I think he might need to put on a little bit of weight coming up in competition, but I think he's going to be good. We got We got the receiver out of Alabama, Brooks. He committed the other night. We got the cornerback out of UCF, Thornton, who I think is going to be a really good fill in for the Storm Duck type of position, maybe that third cornerback on the roster. We don't know yet about Quincy Riley and about Jarvis Brownlee. We're still waiting on what's going to happen there. I think, you're hearing things both ways about, Quincy Riley in particular, as far as, everybody thought he was definitely leaving. And then now some people think he may stay. So we'll keep tracking that one. But as of now, I'm going to call Thornton our third cornerback, who probably takes that Storm Duck type of role, if that's fair. The one I'm really waiting on, and I think we're going to get him, but I still haven't heard the official word, is Colin Lacey. That is the dude, the receiver out of South Alabama. If you have not, do yourself a favor. We can't put it up on here because the feds are watching us. Every time we put a YouTube video on, they'll kick us off the air. Go watch his highlights sometime. After you watch our pod, of course, don't just leave us hanging. But watch Colin Lacey, South Alabama receiver. Watch his highlights. To me, he comes across as like a little bit faster version of a Jamari Thrash, which they do share the same trainer. So maybe that's a lot, their route running abilities. Maybe that has a lot to do with it. But guys, I am pumped. Those are the guys I have so far. If I'm missing something, y'all let me know. But I think that's a good recap of the weekend so far. And we also have Jalen Lucas out there, the IU guy, who's an athlete who he has potential. He's a great returner. He's explosive. He had a really good game against us. I don't feel like he was utilized correctly in Tom Allen's system, which Tom Allen's no longer there. But a Jeff Brom system, I think we could find a place for a guy like Lucas. So that being said, guys, what do you think?
Josh, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm happy to go ahead. So, I mean, honestly, when I look at this list, with my background, I go straight to the offense. Like, I like scoring points, so it's fun to see guys like Brooks on there and look at what he did at Alabama. I know he's been, hurt the last few seasons, or just his production hasn't been what it was. But a player like him who can play as I think he was a freshman in that national championship game, and what he did for Alabama, having guys like that commit to our football team is just, it's wild. Like, I still don't know that it feels real to me, yeah. So I'm just stoked, man. I don't know.
Well, you mentioned Ja'Cory Brooks, man. Like, he was just so we're all on the same page, he was a 5-star wide receiver out of high school. He was rated the number 27 player in his class. That I don't know. I'd have to go back and look, and I'm pretty sure that would be the highest rated player we've ever had at a high school. We got him.
What was he again?
5-star
Hey.
in my book. That's right.
Crazy.
He's a 5-star in my book, boys. So we talk about Brooks. That's huge. And currently on 24/7 Sports, I know people get into the whole is 0-3, 24/7, who's better, but I'm just going strictly off of 24/7. He's rated as the number 44 prospect in the portal.
I will say this: who's better? Let me go figure out who gives us the highest average. That is the best recruiting industry.
Yes.
I know Ty Spalding's in here from Rivals, so I'm hoping it's you. But I'm gonna be honest, Ty. If Rivals is slacking and they have Louisville lower than one of the other ones, I'm going with them. It's science. You always go with what you want to see happen. That's how science works, right, guys?
Yes. And then we mentioned Colin Lacey. Like, Colin Lacey is so explosive.
That's the one.
And Brooks is explosive as well, but it's just different. It's different types of explosiveness. Like, I think Brooks is going to be more like, on the outside. Lacey, they're going to throw him everywhere. He could play outside, inside. Both those guys, I know Jeff can't wait to get them the ball. So, and obviously Lacey hasn't committed yet, but I know a lot of us feel really good about that. Donald Chaney, another top tier prospect. He was a high rated 4-star running back out of high school.
Running back, man.
And he's probably your Garindo insurance or your Garindo replacement, if I had to guess. It's Jeff Brom is killing the portal. I've been one of the biggest Jeff Brom fans over the last few years. I caught a lot of flack from some fans for saying that we should have got him just a few years ago, even during the Satterfield era. I'd be lying to you if I told you I thought he would recruit like this. I'd be lying to you. And he's just killing it. He's knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. Okay, I was going to see Josh, did you have any extra on that, or you're good on that? I think
I'm good on that.
I think the biggest thing we're looking at now for me is Colin Lacy. All eyes on Colin Lacy. That's the one. I'm just waiting because what we're hearing is Jamari Thrash is probably going to go pro. Even if he doesn't, though, and you don't even give me the false hope of thinking that you can line up Jamari Thrash on one side of the field and Colin Lacy on the other side of the field. Don't give me that hope. Don't give me that hope. So Ty Spalding says, shout out to 502 Circle. That is correct. I mean,
absolutely.
If any amount you can donate to the Circle, it's going to a good cause. That's the thing. I have full trust that when I put my money in the Circle, that it's going to the right place. And I mean, you can see it in recruiting. You can see it. And I saw where on one of the sites, Zach Soskin just said he thinks tomorrow can be just as good as today when it comes to, the success we've had as far as getting commitments. So what does that mean? I don't know, but I'm here for it. And, Zach Soskin's a guy who, he's big and influential with bringing the Clarksons in here and the California guys. He's got the 305 to the 502 connection. I don't know what you call them. I call them NIL agents, but that's just a term I use for somebody I don't know what they really do. I just know he's very influential on helping get these guys on board with coming here. And whatever we're doing in football, whatever system we've got, it is absolutely top tier. Go look at the portal rankings from last year. Colorado with Dion is number 1. Louisville with Jeff Brom is number 2. Now, the argument then was, well, you had a coaching change, so maybe that's why, because you were flipping a whole roster. So it's easier to get ranked. I bet you can't do it again the next year when you've had your guys in there. Hold my beer, Jeff Brom says, because guess what? Just like last year, Deion Sanders number 1 right now, and Jeff Brom and Ole Miss, I've seen them go back and forth for that second spot in the portal, which Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's killing it right now. Props to him. But now here's the thing about Deion and Jeff Brom, which one, and I'll admit, I was big on bringing Deion in for all the fun and stuff. I'm not gonna walk that back. But who has proven to be the better head coach on the field? Obviously, Jeff Brom. But I didn't think he could recruit toe-to-toe with a Deion Sanders. I didn't. Not when he came from Purdue. He can, and he has. And he has the resources. And I think when you first saw him come in here, that first couple of days he was on the job, I already was like, okay, you know what? He gets it. He's not just going to be recruiting Midwest, low 3-star kids out of Indiana and, Ohio and Illinois and that area. No, he's going down to Miami. He's going to get these guys on board from the California area, which he did within his first week. He went over there, got all of them except when, obviously DeAndre Moore flipped his commitment, but he was already thinking about doing that. So he landed all the other ones we were in on. He gets these Miami guys, and then look what he did in the portal, and now look at him again. And it's impressive. I thought it started off a little slow, and I got nervous because I'm a nervous dude, and I'm impatient. I admit that. I admit my flaws. But I did. Once we got those 2 tight ends, I was like, hell, all right, we're good, man. We're good. Now It's just all gravy on the biscuit because we're getting everybody.
Yep. Well, and then Larry brings up, should we be concerned about the recruits from smaller schools making the jump in competition? My thought is absolutely not, for 2 reasons. The main one is that, Jeff Brom has been proven now to have a great eye for talent, and his staff does. So they're going to be able to identify those guys that are going to be capable of moving up. And historically, we've seen in football that there's always those individual guys from smaller schools or lower profile schools, is the preferred term that I use, from lower profile schools that either transfer, in the old way is where they had to sit out a year and then when grad transfers became a thing, where you saw Vernon Adams, for instance, transfer to Oregon and make an instant impact. You see guys from smaller schools go in the NFL draft every year. For instance, Cooper Kupp, where'd he go to school? Exactly. So, we see guys from lower profile schools all the time step up and then become immediate impact players once they get to higher level schools and that kind of thing in competition.
I actually think it's a good strategy before and I'm going to make this
quick
because I want to give everybody else time. But I just think it's a great strategy to find players that excel who flew under the radar in high school, and all of a sudden they either peak because they're just gotten much better or they were just underrated to begin with. And you pluck those guys out of the G5 ranks and move them on up, like Jamari Thrash last year is a great example of that. I think Colin Lacey's going to be just like that too.
For sure. And just a quick deviation from our smaller player or from our recruit talk here, but Ty mentioned 502 Circle and giving them a shout out. I was listening to a national podcast today, and they were talking about how it's not just the money that's coming into Louisville, but it's also the infrastructure. So those 502 Circle guys, it's not just that they're getting a boatload of money and throwing that at players. It's also all the work that they put in on the back end to really set up a good system for us. And that's not something that, we're just noticing. A lot of national guys are saying that too about us. So it's just good to hear because we know financially we're going to struggle with certain schools and certain conferences. So it's nice to know that, we got the infrastructure set up early and we have a system that's working.
In Couch House, I see you mentioned that we have many just highly rated, talking about Ja'Cory Brooks. My friend, I got the receipts. And let me tell you that Ja'Cory Brooks, had we got him out of high school, would have been the second highest rated recruit in Louisville football history, only behind Michael Bush. That's ahead of Brian Brom. That's ahead of James Quick. That's ahead of all of them. James Quick was actually rated about 109th. So I know for a while, like way back when in that recruitment, he was, a little higher.
I will say Peanut Whitehead got that deduction.
That Peanut Whitehead was deduction. Also on here. Peanut Whitehead, I actually think, was third on our list, but Brooks would be the second highest rated recruit all time at U of L had we got him out of high school. So I went and checked. I see you called me out. I went and checked. I got the receipts for you, my friend. And that's it. Ja'Cory Brooks is going to be a stud in this offense, man.
Good work, Ty. Good investigation there.
Yes, sir.
Wesley Key says, "What's up, fellas? Thanks for joining us, Wesley. And if anybody's new on here, hasn't ever checked us out before, please hit that like and subscribe buttons. That way, when we go live in the future, you'll be able to catch us then. I just wanted to make sure I sent out that introduction or that invitation to be able to hit that like and subscribe button now before we forget about it. A lot of times we dive in and we get going and we forget to pass that along. So I'll let you guys continue on, but I wanted to interject that real quick.
So Josh mentioned that national shout out about our NIL, but what's also interesting about the national little clip from them was when Andy Staples mentioned that we were trying to get Cam Ward on campus for a visit. Cam Ward's the name. It's like the mythical name that we keep hearing in the background. Kept coming up. Cam Ward's the guy they want. And then like behind the scenes, you just never saw where any traction was made with Cam Ward. But when he said that, it kind of validated a lot of the people that had been saying like, hey guys, we are really trying to get him. We're not going to land Cam Ward. Let's put that out there, barring some sort of miraculous event that just alters his thinking. We're not going to land him now. But we were in there more so than people think. Cam Ward is the prized quarterback of this entire transfer portal class right now. He's the one everybody wanted besides maybe Gabriel, who immediately went to Oregon. So he really didn't even stick in there that long. He went straight to Oregon. Cam Ward is that dude. And we almost got him on a visit. And I know we don't do moral victories, but it kind of shows if you don't think we had the ability to bring him in here, Cam Ward is Louisville football's Maverick Rowe. Stop it, Connor. You're done, man. Stop it.
Connor, you're done.
Man. But seriously,
Connor.
Too soon on Maverick Rowan. Still hard feelings about that. But no, he didn't end up doing anything. But seriously, we put ourselves resource-wise in a position to swing the fences with Cam Ward and swing hard. And that, we didn't land them, and that's fine. That just means we can reallocate those resources elsewhere. And, I mean, we do have Tyler Shuck, which we landed immediately. I mean, I'm thinking that's who I think the staff feels good about Tyler Shuck, and they're confident. I have said before, so I'm going to walk this back because I think I was wrong, and I will admit when I'm wrong. I thought that when we landed Tyler Shuck, we locked down the quarterback position, we were done. And I can't say I felt too great about it, but only because of his injury history. I just watched a podcast last night with some national guys, and they were like, I give him 5 games. So it's like, I'm not the only one thinking that way. He's just had bad luck, and sometimes that just doesn't stop. Hopefully he's like Michael Penix at IU. He got hurt every time he went out of the pocket. He got hurt. He was a great quarterback at IU, believe it or not. But the reason why you didn't hear about him very much, even though IU was actually doing pretty good with him in there, is he would always get hurt very quick. So IU
beat Ohio State with him.
They did. I don't remember, but they did
beat
well.
Ohio State with Penix.
But Penix was one where he finally were like, no, we're just going to move on, man, because you can't stay healthy. No offense. He goes to Washington, and he's been healthy for 2 years. So it can happen, and I'm not saying he's going to be Michael Penix.
That's a great comparison as far as the injuries. That's a good comparison.
Yeah, just the injuries, just the injury history, and then all of a sudden it worked out. So we're just kind of hoping that can happen. And I was under the impression that was all we were going to do. We weren't going to look at any other quarterbacks, but I do think that perception has changed. I don't think we're going to just go after any quarterback to pair with him. I think we're fine saying, okay, Tyler Shuck and the guys we have, go out there, may the best man win, with the early preliminary thought that Tyler Shuck will be the starter. But I do think that they are still looking, and if the right guy were to enter the portal, whoever that may be, I think we would take a hard look. And I mean, I think that's verified by the fact that they even swung the fences at Cam Ward to get him in there this weekend when they have Tyler Shuck in locked in, So I don't know if Tyler Shuck would stick around if another quarterback jumped on. It was high profile. I don't know. But it just tells me that, hey, we're going to go after some dudes. And if we think we can get some better dudes, we're going to swing the fences and try to get them. I have so much confidence in what we're doing right now. Connor says Lacey is hitting tonight, which I assume he means that he's going to pick us tonight.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I don't know what he's hitting. Is he hitting like the wall? Is he pissed off? Is he? Hopefully he's not hitting anybody in the face. We have all those.
And Connor, if you've got some breaking news, you know how to hop on here. So hop on and give us exactly what you're trying to tell us.
No pressure. But hey, if hitting tonight means he's hitting the Louisville lottery, then hey, I'm all for it, because that's the guy I want the most. I've wanted him the most out of all the names we've heard, besides Cam Ward. Let's just get that out of the way. But besides him, which I've always thought would be very hard to finalize, Colin Lacey's a guy I've wanted the most.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had a hard time watching Lacey and not thinking of Thrash, Smaller school guy, lots of yak. I mean, I just felt like I was watching Thrash again.
Couch House, you're speaking my language now, brother.
Yes.
Ty
and I are the kings of that fan club.
Talk dirty to me.
I want my wife to love me the way that Ty loves Arch Manning and Canes.
Oh man, Arch Manning and Canes is like, it's peanut butter and jelly. It just goes together, man. It's so good.
I mean, I wouldn't mind Arch Manning at this point. I think at the beginning when I thought we could get Michael Pratt, I was like, nah. But nonetheless, I mean, Art, I'd love to take him, but obviously that's a hypothetical. It's not going to happen. So he already announced he's coming back to Texas, so it's
not going to happen. But don't put anything past Jeff Brom, okay? Don't.
That's true. Jeff Brom might go out there and get their starter.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
Quinn Ewers to the Ville. Write it down now.
I'm not going to doubt him.
A great little nugget here from Ty Spalding again. When you guys had me on the pod, Pat asked me specifically if we could compete with A&M in the portal. Well, A&M wanted Lacey badly. So that definitely speaks to the power of Louisville's NIL game right now.
Hey,
Thanks,
can I
Ty,
put a
for the
Brady
nugget.
Brom tweet up here? Can I put a Brady Brom tweet up?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't think the
I
Feds
just want to
care
put it
about
up just
tweets.
because this looks cool and just because he's having one hell of a night right now. So let me get this up.
All right. Well, I'm going to read the chat while you're getting that up there. Let's be realistic. Robbie says about Manning. Well, we're just joking around. Nobody thinks we're getting Arch Manning. Oh, that is a cool picture.
Unless that's pretty sick. They're having a
That's
hell of a
wild.
night, man. The whole staff is having a hell of a night.
I know nobody commits because of the cars, but have you ever noticed when we bring the cars out, that's when we get all of our dudes?
Yeah.
It's like a superstition at this point.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the
Yeah.
car. Like nobody's gonna commit and be like, I committed to Louisville, not for anything about the NIL or aspirations to go to the NFL or to compete in a college football playoff. I came there because I had a really nice car at midfield. No, that's not how it works. But for whatever reason, when they bring the cars out, shit's getting real.
For real.
Yeah, it's wild, man.
What a night for the staff, man. They're killing it right now. You got to give them props. They're killing it.
Rodney Felton, no hard feelings, sir. I see you in here. That's all I'm going to say, man. None.
Welcome to the show, Rodney. Welcome back.
Thank you for joining.
Let's see.
Kyle, how funny would that be, though, if one of those guys did commit and they're like, the facilities were good, but it was really that red Corvette. That's what sold me.
That's what I'm saying.
I was on the fence, but they do.
I did that to my dad when I was little. We went and looked at a Corvette, and he was just like, "This looks nice." And the salesmen who knew my dad were trying to get him to buy it, and he's like, "Come on, son, you don't even think it's that great, do you?" And I looked at my dad, and I was like, "It is a Corvette, Dad." He left with the Corvette. He left the deal, and he to this day he still gives me shit for that. Anyway, that's a quick sidebar. I don't want to get too far off topic, but I'm just saying you can be hypnotized by a sports car now.
Right.
You can be. Awesome Lawson said, "Do you guys have any word on the Jay Wright rumors?" We'll get into basketball. We will. But I want to give football some due. So who do you guys think pops next? Sounds like Colin Lacey, right?
Yeah.
I really hope it's Lacey. I really
hope
do.
so too, man. I hope so too. Oh my gosh.
I don't want to. I hate when we do the whole like comparison type deal because sometimes it puts unfair expectations on kids. But when we were kind of discussing like earlier in Discord, Trent mentioned, and I know Trent. He watches this stuff religiously. So and Trent has some crazy, absolutely wild comparisons. But he said that Lacey reminds him of Jalen Waddle. Now I'm not gonna. I don't know about that just yet. Waddle is he's like generational talent when it comes to explosiveness. I don't think I've seen a more explosive receiver than Jalen Waddle. Maybe Tyreek Hill, but that's who he says he reminds him of. So if Trent says that, I'm definitely intrigued. I want to see more of Lacey.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Okay. I think I'm getting the vibe of the chat right now. I think they want to start talking about basketball.
Well, I just wanted to bring up Macro says that Teddy is retiring. I hadn't seen that news. Had anybody else seen that?
I think I saw that earlier.
Yeah, I saw that in the Discord.
Now, is it effective like today, like he's retiring, or is he going to wait till the end of the season?
That I don't know. I just saw
he's with Detroit now, right?
I literally saw a title of it, and then I saw that somebody committed to Louisville right above it. So then I forgot about it. That's bad.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing because I always had high hopes for Teddy. I mean, he was such a fan favorite for us, and I always had high hopes for him. And then the knee injury really derailed what looked like could have been a much more promising career. It doesn't feel like he's ever been quite the same guy ever since that knee injury in Minnesota.
Hold up. Connor says he's going to coach Miami Northwestern after the season. That could be beneficial.
Yeah.
That could be very beneficial.
Micah Lee is leaving. I think he's going to coach college somewhere.
So it's not confirmed.
So,
it's not confirmed.
Yeah, it's not confirmed.
But okay,
Oh.
Connor, you're doing the thing. Connor, don't do the
Just
thing.
saying stuff.
Right.
You're doing the thing.
Speaking of doing the thing, we're going to do the basketball thing. And I mean, I just have to always get a big sigh before we talk about basketball.
I brought bourbon. I'm ready to go for basketball. I brought the bourbon. I'm ready.
I'm going to start this off by saying that I've given up on trying to figure out a timeline for this damn thing to happen. I'm tired of hearing it's going to happen. I'm tired of hearing, we're just lining everything up. I understand. I do. I get it. But the longer this drags out, the worse it is for everybody. This is like a divorce where you're living together. And I've used this analogy before, but now it's not only that you're waiting on the court date, your court date keeps getting pushed back and you're still living together. And they just keep pushing it back. They keep pushing it back for random reasons. I understand. You got to get your staff lined up. You've got to make sure the players are all bought in. Here's my problem with the whole basketball thing. The Goodman tweet on Friday about, Josh Hurd met with players. My problem with that came from the athletic department. It's clear as day that was put out there. But when you put something in motion like that with a coach in place, you have to be ready right then to move on, because now you've got stuff out there and he's going to go coach tomorrow. And we talked about the other night on the pod, but we were like, well, there's just I think it was Thursday night. We're like, well, there's just no way that he's going to be the coach for that game after that tweet came out. There's just no way. It was Friday. Sorry. I was like, there's no way that this is going to happen. And here we are. He's going to coach against Pepperdine after that tweet was put out there. And I just don't like, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to watch because I think it's a horrible thing to do. I think it's horrible that he's going to go out there and coach a basketball game as a dead man walking. And at this point, the timeline's just so confusing because I was so sure that Friday was the day. As of Thursday, I thought we'd start getting leaks on Thursday that it's happened, get the ULAA meeting announced, and then Friday it would happen. And I mean, when I say I thought that, it's not just blindly thinking that. That's really where it was heading. It got pushed back. And so at one point when it starts to get pushed back, you start to question, like, what are we doing right now? Is it ever going to happen? And now you got the guy bringing Carter Knox in this weekend, which was just, we know what that was. We know what this is.
That was a huge middle finger to the fans, to the administration, to Jeff Hurd or Josh Hurd.
And then Wes just brought it up, brought Carter Knox in the middle. That's where, look, I've not been huge on what Coach Payne has done as far as being on the court, a basketball coach. I've been very skeptical for most of, if not all of the time. And he's not really given me any reason to buy in since then. But I've always thought of it as, we did him a disservice by putting him in that position, and probably should have realized he wasn't quite ready for this kind of position yet as a head coach with how big of a program we are. But for him to now do something like this, we know he's digging his heels in. I can say that much. He's been very stubborn about this whole process.
The thing of it is, I mean, we went on for this about 2.5 hours Thursday night. I don't think we need to get in a long monologue about.
I'm talking about Carter Knox.
Well, I know, but we're basically talking about the Kenny Payne situation. I don't think we need to go on and on.
I'm going into Carter Knox. I'm getting to my point. My point is that Carter Knox it's one of those things where up to that point, I had felt like, okay, this is all on the court. But once you did that, once you brought him in, knowing that you're not going to be our coach, and he was never going to commit here. I'm going to be honest. He was going to go to UK. And now we're hearing rumors that he's going to commit here. And we know he's leaving. What are you doing right now? Now you're just trying to make it look like we're making the wrong decision. Like, it's just not cool, man. It's just not cool at all.
Yeah.
And that's where I transitioned. My point I was making was to re-summarize and paraphrase how I felt the other night on the pod, but then transition into, well, now I have no empathy for you. I have none, because you did something like this, which you just, and that's why we need to make a decision now. This crap's going to continue. It's going to get worse. We need to move on now.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's a portion of our fans who, are hesitant to say anything bad about Josh Hurd right now. I think, they want to stick up for him and, be in his corner. And anytime you say anything against him, people say all your eggs are in the Jurich basket and you're pro Jurich. But I mean, just from the outside looking in, I think, Kyle, you made a good analogy earlier today. Like when you have issues at work or whatever the case may be, it's the communication that you need, right? Like the communication's what is kind of what smooths those situations over. So yeah, I don't know. Just the lack of communication out of the AD's office has been pretty frustrating, just to be honest.
Yeah, and real quick, I'm gonna try to summarize this quickly, but I know there's a lot of people that think, well, he shouldn't say anything right now. And right now, it probably is too late. Things are so bad that now you just need to make the decision. You need to get all your stuff together, and we need to move on because it's toxic now. Now we've got people playing games, and the fan base is just in complete disarray. You've got a lot of people making stuff up that's just not true. And then you've got stuff that is true, but it gets pushed back. So it's just all this stuff. We just need to move on. So that being said, there was a time to communicate with the fan base. And it's not that everybody's ever going to be happy with what Josh Hurd comes out and says. It's not. But rule number one in customer satisfaction, I mean, this is something I have to do. Like when things are bad, and you're looking for a solution, you may be working hard behind the scenes for a solution, but if you don't ever reach out and just let people know, hey, I'm aware of your frustrations. I understand this is not acceptable for Louisville basketball. We will take care of it. You have to trust me. We're backing Kenny Payne. He's our head coach. And it's getting addressed. Not everybody's going to like that answer. That's not the point. Not everybody's going to be happy until you have a positive solution. Let's be honest. But the worst thing you can do is just not at that time when things are heading that way, but it's not to where it is now, which is like so far gone. That's when you get out in front of it. And what it does is it lets you know, like, hey, he hears me. Because the last thing as a fan, you're a customer. If you support the product with money, you're a customer. That's what we are as fans, those of us that put money into the product. If you don't hear anything at all from the people in charge, you don't feel heard, and that's the worst thing you can do because now people have to form assumptions of their own about what you're doing. And you got to remember, a lot of us on here, we get access to a lot of things that a lot of your everyday fans don't. As an everyday fan who just watches the product, it can appear like nothing's happening. Like Kenny Payne's just doing whatever he wants, like the way he botched the Quran thing, and just nobody cares. That's the way it looks to those kind of people. I know Josh Hurd cares. I've heard enough about what he's doing behind the scenes to know he's trying to fix this, but you got to get better at communicating with the fan base. You just, at times, like I said, we're not asking him to lay out a big plan as far as what he's doing to say, I'm getting rid of the coach, like nothing like that. But there was a time towards the beginning where you could have at least addressed this in a way where, it was like, hey, we're aware of your frustrations. We have those same frustrations. We're going to fix this.
Yeah. Kyle, I think someone in the Discord used like a restaurant reference that fit pretty well. Like if your food's not coming and you're waiting on your server and she just never comes out, like she could be working as hard as possible, like cooking your meal, doing whatever in the back, and it still is just not enough if she doesn't come out and be like, hey, your food's coming, like a couple more minutes. But so I think that lack of communication and just keeping fans in the dark, it's just frustrating, so it's an easy thing for him to hurdle, and he's just not doing a good job.
And at this point, it wouldn't do any good to come out because it's so bad.
Right.
The point is it didn't have to get this bad.
It's too late. Yep.
Go ahead, Ty.
I'm sorry. I'll probably take a few minutes here because I wasn't here Thursday. I've been waiting to kind of get to this point to talk about this. I'll always remember back to late 2021. I know a lot of us here, some, obviously us here on the show and the chat, we're all a part of message boards and things of that nature. And I'll never forget back to late 2021 when some prominent kind of insiders that are on the longtime message boards, they kind of went ahead and start hinting that Kenny was going to be the next hire, to pretty much kind of lay the ground to let fans know this is coming. It's going to happen. I was always skeptical of it. Had nothing to do with any other exterior factor other than he was currently in the NBA. He had only been an assistant coach at Kentucky. with the Nike connection, and I didn't understand quite how his connections with World Wide West and other stuff would really translate that well to recruiting here as the flagship Adidas school. I thought it was viable questions to ask, and we were always kind of told ahead of time like that's not going to be a problem. Um, this has been really this has been a total disaster from the start to finish, and on the show here we kind of try to keep it as middle as we can. You don't want to show too much, a personal opinion or bias, but I'm kind of to the point where I'm tired of trying to hide behind that. Um, this needs to end, and it needs to end now. And Friday was the perfect time to end it. So now we're gonna have to play another game, as we all know that this is now going to happen. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, but it should have been Friday. Um, in terms of the people that say we shouldn't criticize Josh Hurd, I like Josh. I think he's done a lot of great things. And I'm not going to pretend to know what it's like to be an athletic director at a big time Division I athletic program like U of L. I'm not going to pretend to know all the ins and outs, but to me, it seems like just on the outside, he hasn't been prepared enough. He didn't prepare enough for this situation to happen. I think the plan was always all along to give him this year, and if it's if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We'll move on. But it quickly became even worse. Losing to Kentucky Wesleyan, losing to Chattanooga, now to DePaul. I mean, this program is at rock bottom. There is no other way to say it. This is at rock bottom. If you ever wanted to know what it felt like, this is it. Um, Watching the game against Arkansas State was probably the most embarrassed I've been as a fan. I know we've had some bad losses the last 2-3 years, but watching the lack of effort, I watched the kids quit. They quit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I just watched Kenny just walk up and down the sidelines with no answer. There's nothing, and it was pathetic. It was embarrassing. The announcers called it out. They saw it. Media saw it. The fans see it. It's time to move on. And I am shocked, genuinely shocked, that he is going to coach this game tomorrow. Well, now today, right? Or no, tomorrow. So I'm shocked. I'm genuinely shocked. And it needs to end. It needs to end quickly so that we can just try our best to somehow move on and enjoy the rest of the year. Maybe it energizes the players, energizes fans to come back. I don't think you're going to see sellouts, but you're going to see more fans go back to try and support the guys, get them through this year so we can move on for next year. But I'm genuinely shocked that it didn't happen Friday. I thought that was the day. Everything seemed like it was just kind of pointing that direction. All the national guys, sending their stories and their thoughts. And here we are. I think tomorrow's gonna be a rough watch personally. But so much of the Kenny Payne era has been exactly that. It's been a rough watch. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're still waiting on more updates. Maybe we'll get one as we're here on the show, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point. Good points, Ty. You're absolutely right. I think it's gotten to the point where it's hard to trust anything you get right now, because I think there have been timelines that were absolutely accurate in the moment, and there are a lot of moving pieces. So it's just hard. I just think you had to do every single thing possible to get out once you sent that stuff to Jeff Goodman, and now you've got the entire you've got all the eyeballs on you to make a decision now. Like, you did that. And so to go out there on Sunday and play a basketball game with him as the head coach right now, to give him a weekend where Carter Knox now is on campus. And I mean, we can, if you really want something interesting, you can pull up, you can go to my Twitter and find a Carter Knox interview. I shared it, so I don't know if somebody my share screen doesn't work very well, but if somebody pulls that up and looks at it and they ask him about the visit, he doesn't look like a kid. And maybe that's how Carter Knox always is. I don't know. But my impression of the interview was like he's just it almost looks like somebody behind the camera's got a gun in his head because he's just sitting there like, yep, I'll be going. And he's real stiff and he's just like, I'll be there. Yep. And I'm not commenting on the coaching situation.
Mhm.
And you can't help but wonder sometimes, like, we think he's going to go to UK. Why are we doing this? Why?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this right now? Because he's not coming here, even if he commits here. We know what's happening. We just don't know exactly when, which is the frustrating part. But the longer this drags on, the more, we cannot. I feel bad for the kids, man. Like, they don't want to sit out there and play these games with and I'm not saying that they want Kenny Payne fired. What I'm saying is they don't want to be in limbo. That's the worst thing you can be in is limbo. Because even if like parents getting a divorce, for example, even if you don't want them to get a divorce, the last thing you want is them bickering in the house all the time while you're a kid.
Mhm.
As these players, you don't want a coaching staff that you're like, how are you going to believe in what's going on when you know that they're not going to be there and you just are waiting on when? And so, and for me, the Pepperdine, like I've heard, some people say, well, what if we beat Pepperdine? What does that do? Look, man, we started off so bad for the second year in a row. I don't think it does anything at all because Pepperdine's not a good team. They're not. We can win that game by 20 points, and I don't think it changes anything. But I'm just afraid it's going to be, and fans, I don't know how long they're going to support where they're not just completely belligerent, the ones that are left there. And I hope that doesn't happen where they're booing all game or anything like that. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying you're getting to a point now where when you put the wheels in motion to get this thing done, the longer you have him out there on TV with playing actual live game, coaching actual live games, it's just I just don't understand what we're doing. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Josh.
Go
I'll
ahead.
make
No,
this
you're
real
good.
quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that I wanted to bring this up when I was talking about the Carter Knox thing. That is a massive, in my opinion, middle finger and a huge FU to Josh Hurd, the administrators at U of L, and the fans. Kenny has not been recruiting anybody in the last 2 to 3 months. Anybody. There's no news at all. None. Like, even when he recruited, like Tyler Johnson and some other high school, like, there was news, right? There's been nothing in Louisville basketball recruiting in 3 months? And all of a sudden, it's just out of the blue and a total coincidence that Carter's going to come visit the weekend that he's this close to getting fired. He called in his favor. He called in a favor with the Knox family to get him to come here. It's a huge middle finger, as far as I'm concerned, to the fans, to Hurd, it's so frustrating. I'm ready to move on. I want to move on. I promise anybody that thinks that, we've been haters the whole time. While we were skeptical, we all wanted this to work. How awesome would that have been? How awesome would that have been if this had worked? A former player, national champion, beloved by the fans. How freaking awesome would that have been? It just hasn't. It just hasn't. And whatever reason that is, I don't pretend to know. It just hasn't, and it's time to move on.
JV Bell says that visit, or someone said that visit was always scheduled.
It was not always scheduled. No, it was not.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna. Maybe let's just say maybe it was. It was never announced. It was never announced.
Sure, fine, yeah.
But now it is. All of a sudden, it's announced.
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to PR and perception. You can be doing all kind of. That's what I was saying about Josh Hurd. You can be doing all kind of things behind the scene, and while everything can't be transparent, we all understand that. Like, if there's no communication about anything at all, you can't just come out then and be like, this has always been the thing. Like, that's the same thing with the visit. Like, we're not going to believe that. we've had no recruiting news at all for months. And we're supposed to now believe that this has been in the works the entire time for this weekend right here. And I mean, like I said, it's possible. I'm not going to sit here and say I know for a fact it wasn't. It just seems really weird. We didn't hear a word about it, not a peep. And then on the brink of getting terminated when it goes national, here he comes on a visit.
Yeah.
And even then it's like, why? Okay, let's just say hypothetically it was planned.
Yeah.
Why would you not call him and say, look, man, this isn't a good time to come here under me. I'm not going to be the coach much longer. I'm not. And so, that's that. And you can't help but think too. You just can't help but think if he comes here and commits, Kenny Payne gets fired, and then he goes and commits to UK. What's the story then? Well, he went to UK because you all didn't keep Kenny Payne. And I'm not saying that was intentionally done, but you sure can't just discount it. And if that's the case, which I cannot prove, but if that's the thought process, that is the ultimate slap in the face. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that.
Well, and, it's just really hard. It's really hard to watch, to be honest with you. I think, Ty, during your monologue there, you did a really good job of capturing like the emotion to it. Because I think, we all are really connected to our basketball team. We're like that top 2% of fans, right, with the way that we follow it. I think everyone in the Discord knows, but my family grew up in Iowa, but they were all from Louisville. And that was the first way I really connected with Louisville, was watching Louisville games with my dad. Like, that was so important to me. And like, that was how I, could connect with my family. Like, when I'd go and visit, I could talk about Louisville games, and just always brought a lot of pride, in where my family came from, talking about Louisville basketball. So I have a nephew who's 12, and he's just starting to get into sports. He's always been kind of a Fortnite guy, but now he's like, hey, like, football is pretty fun to watch. So, I watch Louisville football games with him. And now we're watching Louisville basketball. And I'm just, to be honest with you, I'm embarrassed. Like, that's the best way I could put it. Like, this is not Louisville basketball.
It's just sad.
Like, it is, man. Like,
it's beyond anger at this point. Like, my anger went away a long time ago. And then it became more like anxiety. Like, what are we doing? Are we going to get this done? Are we going to? But now it's just like, it's like knowing that he's going to coach tomorrow is the saddest thing in the world. There's not anybody that wins from that. He doesn't win going out there. He doesn't win. The players don't win. The fans don't win. The athletic department doesn't win. And like I said, I don't know everything that goes into. I know there's a lot that goes into firing a coach, especially midseason. And a point I haven't made, I need to make, is with the way the transfer portal is, it is vital that you keep players in the fold if you do a midseason firing, because you could very well not have a team. So I do want to say that could be a major part of it. I know you got to have a staff in place, and you hope you can get the best staff possible. But it's more about leaking that stuff out. Like, don't leak that out, or at least say, hey, a change isn't going to be made at this time, not yet. And we're monitoring the situation. And in that way, but like, once you put those wheels in motion, you can't put that back. You can't put it back. It is just sad that we're going to go out there and play a basketball game. And I don't think I've ever seen it happen like that. I think the closest thing I can remember to ever happening in our program, where a guy you knew was like done, was just sitting there coaching, was where they got till the end of the year, or in a weird case, like the John L. Smith thing, but that was the coach that initiated that. And at halftime, you found out he took a different job. And that was so awkward. And I don't know if you guys are even old enough to remember that. I am. It was against Michigan State in a bowl game. They stomped us. But like, players were like furious on the sidelines the entire second half because they found out at halftime their coach took another job. And but that's coach initiated. So that's not even an apt comparison. What this here is like this guy could be. It's like you're telling me it could be next week. All the national reports are like it could be next week. Soon, of course, the phrase sooner rather than later has been used a lot. But don't get me started, guys.
Sooner
the
rather
cake
than later is now the cake bake. Yep, exactly. Yep.
Sooner rather than later is what I tell my wife when she has to watch a chick flick on a Friday night instead of sports. Like, hey, we should watch The Notebook. I've never actually watched it, or I've never watched it with you. We'll do it, babe, sooner rather than later. And there's no timeline, so it could be any time. So, anyway, that's what everybody's saying. Some people think it'll be before the UK game, after the UK game. There seems to be a collective consensus that it will be before the new year. Let's just stop this. Like, are we? That's my next question. Are we gonna have Kenny Payne coach the UK game? And don't. As blasphemous as it sounds, we sat here the other night and said there's no way he was going to coach against Pepperdine because the university couldn't take that hit. He's coaching against Pepperdine. So now we have to ask, is Kenny Payne going to coach against UK? The team he was with forever? The coach that he was with forever? Is John Calipari going to be the one that gets him out of here? Is he going to get one of his closest coaching friends? Is he going to be the final nail in the coffin? This is just end this now.
I can't. Yeah. I don't know that I have it in me. I'm sorry. I'm just so frustrated. I'm trying to get all my words together. So last year's the first Louisville, Kentucky game that I never watched. I've seen every Louisville, Kentucky game ever in basketball, football. I refused to watch last year. I refused.
Me too.
Wasn't going to do it. I don't think I'm going to do it this year if he's coaching it. I cannot watch this beat down that we're about to get and then him walk across center court as the time runs out, laughing, smiling, having a good old time with Calipari. I can't do it. No. I cannot do it. I just can't do it. And I wanted to go back to JV Bell. I'll put the comment up. He said, my grandfather used to take me to games at Freedom Hall. Got tickets from his buddies, and you say lifer is sad. JV, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. I'll never forget my first experience ever watching a Louisville basketball game was at Freedom Hall. I believe it was Rick's first year or second year when they made the NIT. I think we were playing Temple, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And the court was underneath. They had like ice rink underneath, right? Because there was some sort of ice show coming in that week.
Was crazy.
and I remember that game. I will always remember that. With players falling all over the place, foul calls. I think people started throwing stuff, and Rick got on the PA and said, "Stop throwing shit."
He did. Yep.
I'll always remember that. So I don't have as many years as other guys, but I am a lifer myself in the limited amount of time that I have, and I'm right there with you, man. I think we all are. Everybody that cares deeply like us, we're all sad. This is just sad to watch, and we just wanted to be put out of our misery with this. Seriously, it needs to end. It's got to end soon. It has to.
And consequently, or conversely, I should say, with the UK game, I will do everything in my power. That's Thursday night, and I live about an hour and 15 minutes north. I will do everything, and I work full time. I will do everything in my power to make that game if you pull the trigger before that. And it's not because I'm just dying for KP to leave. It's because we need to move on. And, if you can get – and I know that the question becomes like, what staff can you bring in? Who's going to be there? There's possibilities out there. If you get creative, there's possibilities where you can bring a good staff in and, it's not going to be – look, we're not going to be a great team this year. I don't think we're there. At this point, we're trying to salvage some pride and tradition within this program. So find some dudes like that maybe fit the mold. I'll give you an example. In football, we had Deion Branch coach a bowl game. Deion Branch isn't an experienced coach. It was one game, and we played well, and we won that game, by the way. And, I know bowl games are weird because people are sitting and this and that. but the guys enjoyed it. It was a good time. I loved that game. I absolutely loved watching that game. It was a fun game for a Louisville fan, probably not for a Cincinnati fan. But, Deion Branch coached that game. And you can find some dudes. I'm willing to bet right now, if you go out there and find an interim staff, you can find some guys with some tradition related to this program to just, I don't know if the players would be motivated to play for them or not. I don't know that. But I think the fans would be motivated to get behind certain guys. And I'm not going to sit here and name guys because who knows? Who knows? But it's vital that we support these kids in the event that we see it turn around in the right direction. And I'll do everything in my power to get to that game. Everything. Not because I think we're going to beat UK. I don't. But it's more about supporting these kids. You just can't do it under a sitting duck coach like that, or I can't. I'm not.
So if he doesn't get fired, you're not going, and instead you're going to watch that chick flick that the wife wants to watch.
There it is. Go on record.
If those are my two choices,
Josh Hurd, please don't make us watch chick flicks on Thursday, please.
No kidding.
We don't want to watch The Notebook, man. We've seen it 100 times. Please don't.
Well, Kyle, like to your point, like Padgett. I mean, we were fun to watch with Padgett. Like, I think I was never advocating for him to be head coach. Like I know some people were, but like it was fun to watch. Like I didn't feel a lack of pride watching those teams.
That's it. I mean, it was a team that obviously underachieved, and we were, as a fan base, we were reeling, but it was more about the decision before that. Like it was just having our complete world shattered. It was a huge blow, but the team itself, I mean, they weren't awful. They underachieved. And it was a guy who you knew was a Patino protege and was moving up the coaching ranks, and you knew his heart was in it. I never questioned for a day that he was the head coach if David Padgett was giving it everything he could. And it was honestly, it was admirable what he was able to do under the circumstances. It became clear as day he couldn't be our full-time coach permanently. He just wasn't ready. And I kind of felt like it was a disservice to him at the time. He stepped, and I don't mean like he did the right thing. He stepped up and he took the bullet to do what he could for this university and this program in dire times. And he's a hero.
He did an admirable job.
He's a hero for that, but he also sacrificed a lot doing it before he was really ready.
Mm-hmm.
And if he could have built his way up and not had to go through that so quickly, he could end up being a college head coach right now who just worked his way up gradually. And but that being said, like to your point, Josh, it's like, that was a team that you would tune in and watch, and you weren't like, it wasn't like you were doing a chore, like, oh, let's watch this team again. Like, it is a grind to watch this team. It's just a grind to like know, like, am I really going to tune in? Like, do I really have to sit here and watch this? And you shouldn't feel that way, man.
No.
You just shouldn't feel that way. And I think if you make this move before the UK game and you get an interim staff in here who maybe can put a little juice into this program, I think you could get, some fans in there. I'm not the only one that would go to this game if we do it. I know I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything else? I think I'll wrap up the basketball stuff by saying, we're just kind of sitting and waiting. We've all gotten information, but at this point, it's just so crazy the amount of things change. It's hard to know, man.
We're in a holding pattern, unfortunately. That's what we're at. Just waiting to see. It sounds like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I just, for me personally, my fandom, I hope it's soon. I just cannot watch a Kenny Payne coach team much longer. I can't do it.
All right, guys. Well, if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. We typically come on Wednesdays at 9:00. If there's not a game, we come on periodically like this in the event that, we have an emergency pod, or if something kind of a post game, sometimes we do change our times, but typically Wednesdays at 9. we'll see what next week has in store. I don't think anybody truly really knows exactly what will happen when, but I can guarantee you there's going to be some fireworks. I can guarantee that. So that being said, guys, I appreciate all of y'all listening to Third Banner Pod. I'm Kyle. I'm going to check out. Ty, Josh, you got anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, thank you guys. This has kind of been like a record-breaking performance for the Third Banner Pod today, man. We pushing close to 90, 100 viewers all night. I know we're all super appreciative of you guys for tuning in, just listening to 3-4 idiots talk about Louisville sports. So
yeah, I mean, we just started doing this several months ago, and
just
we didn't
started
know where it was going to go, and it's picking up. So we appreciate
just a
it.
small pop-up show. When we started, broadcasting to just 3 or 4 viewers, and now to see where we're at, seriously, we appreciate you guys. It means a lot to us. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and I'll just
hold
say,
on, Awesome Lawson. You've been asking about Jay Wright rumors. I meant to talk about that earlier. Man, I don't see it happening, man.
Yeah,
Jay Wright's a beast. I just think it was a service to Dick Vitale. I think they were even kind of joking about like, oh, hey, he's considering it. I know Josh Hurd worked with him out at Villanova. I just, I don't think Jay Wright's interested. I hope I'm wrong. It would be great. I don't see it, man.
Yep. And I was going to say, I'm ready for the divorce, ready for it to just get started, because we know it's not going to be a smooth process. And Kyle, you stole my thunder. I was going to hit on the Jay Wright rumor and just say it's not really a rumor at this point. Jay Wright's that hot college girl who is not interested in us. So it's not happening. Yeah, I think he's married off. He's good. So yeah. But anyways, ready to get that divorce started and get moving back towards the real Louisville basketball.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Again, feel free to like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. You never know when we might go live. That being said, until next time, thanks for tuning in to Third Banner Pod. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Football's killing it. Football's killing it, guys. See you next time.